So today's a little bit of a different video. We're going to Brickworld Grand Rapids. So should be a fun day, and we'll see you there. So this is from a few weeks back when we went to Brickworld Grand Rapids in Michigan, of course, a while ago. So you might have already seen videos and stuff on it from other people, but this is kind of just an overview of the entire show. We're not going to spend a ton of time on individual mocks and stuff like this really cool gunship that you see right there. We're kind of just going through them real fast, and then just so you can kind of get a general vibe that went and stuff. So there's, of course, tons of beautiful mocks and stuff. This is kind of the first table when you walk in. After everything, you kind of just go to your left. I'm sure if you've been to a Brickworld event, you'll kind of get the gist of what I'm talking about. It's one of the first tables that you see, and then I kind of just go around the entire show like this, just walk around all the tables and show off all the models. Like these beautiful kind of skyscrapers are some of the tallest builds in the entire show, and they were super fun to look at, and I definitely went back a couple times to check them out. Now there's this awesome little thing. You can pause and see if you can find the out of place trooper in the battalion. Put it in the comments below if you can find it. I don't think I really found it, but it is from a few weeks back, so maybe I did and I'm just forgetting. But so yeah, there's this beautiful hospital build right here with tons of ambulances and a helicopter getting ready to take off, or either maybe he just landed or something. But it looks really cool. Now the trains may look like they're zooming real fast around, but that's because I sped the video up because I was going real slow. So they be zooming in all of the videos. That's why everything looks like it's going super fast. But that's because I was going real slow and I had to speed the videos up slightly. But I really enjoyed looking at some of the mocks, like this one that we've seen before at Brickworld Detroit last year, and getting to see them again and see how they've progressed and added on to it. It's very cool, and all of the custom trains and stuff that we see throughout the builds. They're super cool to look at, and I really enjoyed it. Like this beautiful train station here that looks amazing. There are all sorts of interesting trees and stuff. Some newer sets, like the bowling alley right there, if you can kind of see it on the side of the screen. As I'm of course focusing on the trains because they're really cool to watch. Zoom around the tracks and stuff is super fun. But yeah, as you can see, some of the tree designs are very interesting, and I will definitely have to be trying them in some later mocks that I work on, maybe even later today as I'm filming this. But especially that little pine tree that I kind of just zoomed right past, if you noticed it. But yeah, of course you have a little Bob Ross down there. There's tons of little references and Easter eggs in most of the builds throughout the show. As you can see, a whole bunch of cool stuff. And I always love all of the trains and everything. So I made sure to take a lot of videos of the trains. So yeah, of course there's another little reference right there with what's her name being there. I am bad at DC characters, but of course more and more videos of the trains, which are always super fun to see, and I definitely spent a lot of time at this table going around and around it, looking at all of the trains and stuff. So it's always super fun. In this very nice Eiffel Tower, which I believe was the original Eiffel Tower set, maybe. And this mock here incorporated a lot of the Lego modular buildings, some more recent, some
of them being older ones, and of course lots of cool trains and tons of little Easter eggs stacked throughout this table. It was super cool to see all of the little Easter eggs and stuff. There's even like a White Castle there and a Starbucks that they made, mimicking, of course, you know, real world restaurants and stuff, and some very beautiful buildings, also some more taller buildings and stuff too. So it's a very cool one. As you can see, some of the characters there. You can pause the video, see if you can't pick out any of the characters that are featured in there as little Easter eggs and stuff. Those are usually always super fun to find, just walking around the models over and over again looking for Easter eggs and stuff. Of course, you got Beetlejuice sitting on top of the haunted house and stuff like that. That stuff's just really fun to find, and I really think elevates a lot of the builds that you see at places like this. Now, this is a really cool Statue of Liberty that had music, fireworks, all sorts of cool stuff if you saw my short. And then there's a whole bunch of little references here in this Area 51 section of the mock. Of course, a little shipyard, train yard, I should say. And I really like the road designs here. It was all brick built. All of the roads in that section were brick built using snot techniques and stuff. That was really neat to see. You don't see a ton of it because, well, it takes a lot of pieces to do. And of course, there's like a little Nuketown build, I believe, and the thing from The Incredibles. I always forget what they're called, but they're the big ball thingies. And then, of course, you got the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and this really neat soccer stadium that's kind of like split open so you can see the inside. You got the little trains and stuff all zooming around with the massive roller coaster right there. I can't think of words today, apparently. And there's just so many cool builds. I did not nearly have enough time. If I could go through and point out every little detail of some of these builds, this would be like a 10-hour long video, and it wasn't open nearly long enough for me to be able to pick apart every little build and show, like, look at all the little details and stuff. There's all sorts of like buildings and stuff based off of real life buildings in the area of that the show was located in. So a lot of this is like Grand Rapids area buildings and stuff built out of Lego and stuck in cities and stuff. It was really cool to see stuff like that, see people get hyped up about the area that it is and build stuff based on where they're from. Super cool stuff. And then, of course, you have this one too. That is the same as some of the other ones, an actual place that you can go and visit, I believe. And all sorts of really cool stuff over here. This is a little brick. It is literally Brickworld. It is all of the characters and stuff are just bricks with eyes. It's just really funny. And all the buildings are bricks. The vehicles are bricks. Everything's bricks. And then you have like the army of the overpriced Lego ATSTs. That's pretty funny. And then of course you have tons of these like art displays and stuff, and little smaller displays like indoor displays underneath them and stuff with the buildable characters and just massive trees, which were really cool to see, and all sorts of other cool stuff. Here's your little ATST army going along again. Now this area was really busy with tons of different models. I did not have enough time to really look at all of them, but the ones I did see are really cool, like all these different flowers and stuff, and the like castles, like the massive arts behind them and stuff. brick built Minecraft mobs. This table was awesome to look at. There's so much cool stuff, like these massive Star Wars arts and stuff, like Ahsoka, and there's like Boba Fett over here. And then there's, of course, very cool little displays underneath them with all sorts of characters and stuff. I did have to make a couple of cuts because other people were looking at them, so you know that's a thing that happens at Brickworld because everybody wants to see everything because everything is super freaking cool. And there's this massive display of tons of characters underneath it, which was really cool to look at and stuff. And then there's like a whole bunch of like different modules and stuff over here that could be used to create different scenes and stuff. I wasn't too sure what was going on over there, but there's this beautiful castle right next to it. It's super neat with some figures. It's like surrounded by water. It's kind of like on an island. Then a bunch more like modules and stuff, and then like a whole area with different vendors, like stuff, like kind of like a little shopping area. Then there's some Minecraft stuff. Like I said, I'm trying to move through it fairly quickly so that it's not like an hour-long video. And then a whole bunch of other cool little brick-built things. A really cool dog with like gold chains and stuff. It's the bling dog. Like an apple. Just really cool, just so much cool stuff. A bunch of Animal Crossing stuff, which we actually saw some of at the, not Brickworld Detroit, but the other one that I went to last year. You should be able to find on my videos somewhere here on my main channel. And then, of course, there's like Majora's Mask, which is super cool. You don't see a ton of Lego, like, Zelda stuff. You usually don't see a bunch, but there's a couple things here and there that we saw throughout this that was like, oh yeah, that's from Zelda. So that was really nice to see. And then there's this massive display. Most of these in this area we did see at some of the other conventions that we've gone to. And it's nice to kind of see how they have evolved and changed over time. This is a massive display with all sorts of like Star Wars sets, tons of figures and stuff, tons of little like references, and it's really cool to see. There's even like a crashed A-wing in the back if you can see it back there. Oh wait, no, that's Anakin's Jedi Starfighter, I believe, not a A-wing. I definitely remember that one wrong. I thought it was an A-wing for some reason. I don't know why. But there's, of course, Yellow Submarine, Time Train. And this massive, like, custom army, like, futuristic army. Is really cool to see all the different designs and of the ships and, like, planes and stuff. A little train yard over here, which was another really cool thing. I always like the trains and stuff. They're super cool. And then there's, like, this little mini golf type area and the massive Lego movie sign, which is really detailed. Looks exactly like the one from the movie because, I mean, that's what it was modeled after, of course. And then there's just all sorts of really cool stuff, kind of like faceless Disney villains, which is very interesting. It's definitely a different style of art that I've never really seen before at stuff like this. You can see like Oogie Boogie, the Adventures series and stuff. All sorts of really neat stuff that you don't see all too often. It's always nice to see fans of like some of the lesser known series now that definitely used to be popular but have been like long retired and stuff, and you haven't really seen much of them for a long time except maybe a reference or two in a set from the designers. Now this massive thing here was running at one point, and it had all of the little crystal pieces going around in a circle. It wasn't running at the time when I walked past it, but had been running earlier in the day and was looking really cool with everything just kind of going around and around and around. Super cool to see it. Then there's this really cool clone base with an amazing AV7 cannon on top that was, I think, is a custom design. And of course the Jedi Starfighter, which is definitely custom. But all of the designs and stuff in this are super cool. And there's like Umbara, Geonosis, all sorts of cool little references and stuff down in the bottom here, stuff from like Clone Wars and stuff. Now I'm not too sure what this one was of, so I kind of walked past it real quickly, but it was a really cool like castle build. It was very interesting. And then there's like these little pods, which would be interesting to try one day, because it's kind of interesting. Just had a bunch of different little scenes. This amazing Arc 170 is awesome to see stuff like that. Lego really needs to make a Arc 170. And then there's this massive like Minecraft HUD. It is super cool. You could almost like imagine like you're in Minecraft, and it looked extremely accurate, as you could tell probably. And then of course there's like Death Star, Lars Homestead, which is a super cool model. It is massive with the big pit, kind of the little courtyard area almost. I don't know why I didn't spend more time on that one, because that one I could have talked about for a while too. Now of course the UCS Hogwarts Castle. I guess technically it's not UCS, but it's kind of UCS. And then there's like a bunch of different types of gunships and stuff, and not turbo tanks. I always get that mixed up. It's the little like assault tanks, which are really cool to see. I would definitely like to see more of that one. If you missed it real quick, it was the like little plastic army men type thing. Is super cool, and those are just always super neat to see in mocks. They're not an official Lego piece, but they were made, of course they're Lego compatible and stuff. Is very cool to see little stuff like that spread among certain things, especially when you've like seen it before in other builds on YouTube and stuff. You're like, oh, that's cool. But of course there's these really cool kind of like stand-up displays that you can almost put in a shelf. And then most of these guys we did see at the other ones, like there's gremlins and stuff. You got the massive like gorilla, the dragon, of course the Pharaoh's tomb. These are always amazing to see. They're super skillfully designed, and I don't know how you would go about putting stuff like that together. I wonder if they probably use building software like Bricklink Studio, I would assume, for builds like that, because I don't know even where you'd begin to start stuff like that. This is kind of like submarine thing, which is super cool. A little bust of the one person from Hawkeye, so there's like there's probably like at least 3 Hawkeye fans out there. Then there's this, I forget exactly what this was. I recognized it for a second at the time. I can't remember exactly what it's from though. You got some Goosebumps stuff. You have some like homages to people's lost relatives and stuff, which is neat to see. And then you have this massive proton pack, which is extremely just super impressive, and apparently you could even wear it and stuff. Is like rigged up to a backpack, so they made it strong enough so that you could actually use it, which is crazy. And all sorts of little displays. I always like some of the smaller displays. They're not super like big, but they're usually really detailed and stuff. And then there's a display of a bunch of the GBC modules and a map, a topographical map, of Michigan, which is super neat. It's always cool to see more localized base stuff like that, where you can tell like they're from the area and they really want to make something that shows it. Those are always super cool to see, like some local pride and stuff. Then you have some more like Star Wars mocks. Of course they're mocks because it's a thing about, I meant art style sets and stuff. Tons of Technic vehicles, and then the massive like plane. There was a smaller version of it next to it, I believe, at one point. I can't remember exactly where it was in relation to it, but there was like a smaller version of it, which is kind of like a more minifig sized one, like more minifig scale version of the plane, which is super neat to see. And then this kind of like half built whatchamacallit. And this dude is really nice. He spent most of the day like opening the thing and like if you look at the inside, as you can tell right there, the little quick cuts, you can see the inside of it, which is super nice of him. And you could tell he was definitely eager to be able to show off his mocks in places and things like this. It was very nice to talk to him for a few minutes about his thing. I didn't stick around too long, but he was nice to, he was a very nice guy. And there's all sorts of cool things like this portal mock. And this is kind of just like a whole advertisement for some other events or something, I think. I'm not too sure about it, but you can pause the video and read some of the stuff on the screen if you want to, or like interested in checking stuff like that out. But yeah, so now on to some other mocks using some like lighting and stuff, which is really neat to see. You could have that like futuristic city, and this is when I was like, okay, I can't be here too much longer, so I gotta kind of move fast. That's why you're not seeing everything up close, but there's these beautiful arts of different characters and stuff, lit up sets and models. And there's this really cool like MIDI scale Venator, which LEGO should definitely do a set of to go along with the UCS Venator. That'd be super cool because Venators are just the best thing ever. Some like modified Naboo Starfires, and these are some like brick built characters. I don't know why I didn't stop to look at it more, but they're like someone, instead of using minifigures, they like brick built the actual characters themselves, which is really interesting. Then of course there's the that guy, I forget his name. I knew it at one point, but I think, is it Rayquaza? I can't remember. I don't know much about Pokemon, okay? Don't judge me. But there's this cool like kind of mansion style thing. Godzilla, which is a really interesting model and stuff, is got some very interesting like building techniques and stuff to it. And then there's of course this little like carnival city area, which is super neat to see. Tons of different like games and stuff. Bunch of other little planes, vehicles, and stuff like that. And then over here we had some more builds like that, some of which we saw at the other place, most of which we didn't. A ton of like vampire, like Victorian vampire thingies. Those definitely different. At least I think that's what most of that was. It was interesting. I'm not too sure, but I kind of walked past it fairly quickly. But it's definitely interesting. Tons of really neat stuff. Like, I really liked the Arabesh and stuff made out of Lego and stuff in there. In some of these ones, some very detailed models. I definitely did not take a zoom in on that to maybe copy some of those techniques for my upcoming mock projects, because those are some really cool vehicles and stuff. This is another one that we saw at Detroit last year. Is very again, it's like, hey, I've seen that one before. Some of that stuff was just really fun to like be able to recognize, like, hey, I've seen this one before, or I recognize that builder, stuff like that. Tons of little cars and stuff, some skillfully made like models of characters, which are nuts to me. They're very interesting builds. Then whole like Harry Potter area, which was really cool. You got like Diagon Alley in the back there, and like platform 9 3/4. The kind of like graveyard type thing. That's the wrong spot. Whoopsie. Hogwarts Castle, like some of the school grounds and stuff. The Quidditch pitch in the back there. That moves over to some elf stuff, which you don't see all too often. This was another build that we saw bits of at Detroit, I believe. And of course, then you move over into Minecraft World, which was super cool, and you'll see a big, like, kind of section of it coming up here in a second. But there are some really interesting details and stuff gathered all around it, like the massive, like, underground cave systems and stuff were really cool to see. And, like, this massive mountain on top of the display, it was like from ground to the table and stuff. Is really cool. And there's this kind of like lowered underwater area, which is interesting to see, or at least I thought it was underwater at first, until I saw some of the like castles and stuff. And then there's a whole bunch of like brick built objects stuff over here, like the massive lamppost and the like other stuff. RC car, which is really cool to see. I think he had it driving around at one point. There is some more like modular style buildings, some Narnia stuff, massive thing of flowers, all sorts of just really, really interesting, awesome stuff that it's always nice to see. But there's like some buildings, some cars, and I definitely really enjoyed everything they found here. Like, there wasn't a single build that was kind of like, oh, that's kind of boring. But all of them had something, some sort of interest to them. Like, that's the Last Supper, and that's like just a really cool, almost like town, like camp town area. And if you press the button, then it, like, the smoke shoots out of the campfire and stuff, as you can see. I definitely pressed it a couple of times because it was just fun to see the smoke and like the lights inside of it, which inspired some of the stuff that I got that'll be in a separate video of stuff that I actually bought there. Now there's this massive like castle area. It was probably one of the most detailed models that I saw at the entire show. It was super cool. It might be one of my favorite models that I saw because it was just so detailed. It's kind of like a fall era, like mid to late fall, with all of the different colors and stuff, the oranges, the yellows, and some of the reds, with some contrasted with like the grays of the castle. Is super cool to see. And then of course you have the classic great ball contraption to finish things off with, as we'll go like a quick overview of it all. So many cool modules, as always. You can't have like a Brickworld or a Brick Fair without a great ball contraption. Even some of the smallest ones that I've been to, even like the smallest Lego convention that I've been to, has had a great ball contraption. It's just not complete without one. Although some of the builds may not be the most impressive of everything, they all come together to make this just amazing contraption. So yeah, that was everything at Brickworld, and have a good day. Bye.